In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get started using the Elementor version 4. The Elementor version 4 is kind of like a new beginning for the Elementor page builder and the Elementor page builder users. And in this version, Elementor introduced a new kind of working system, and this is using variables, using classes, and using components. And of course, they introduced new elements called the atomic elements. Now in this video, I'll be showing you how you can get started creating your variables, your classes, and components. Like for example, we created this heading using a variable, we created this button using a class, and we created these cards here using a component. Now for most of us Elementor page builders, we are not developers, so some of these concepts may be new to you, but don't worry, I'm going to take you through what each of these actually means. So what is this thing here called variables? Variables act like a single source of truth. Now imagine that you enter your font size somewhere, and wherever you have that font size applied, if you change it from the source, it will also be updated automatically wherever that font size is applied. Now this can be applied to border radiuses, font sizing, position, gaps, and wherever you see this variable icon in Elementor. So for example, you can create a variable for a font family, a variable for the font size, and a variable for the text color. So when I come over here to my page, I'll open it up in Elementor and say I want to create a variable for a font size. So for example, when I say just add here a container, and I'm going to create a variable for a heading. So let's assume this is going to be the biggest header that is appearing in the website slider. So here we can say it's going to be an H1 tag, and come over here to style, and we come to typography. We can choose a font family, so let me say that is Poppins, and we can choose a font size. Let me say that is going to be 50 pixels. Now the problem with this is that if you have to keep using the same font family and you have to keep using the same font size on a different page, you have to enter those manually. Now in the Elementor V4, what we have to do is to create a variable. So we can say just create a variable for that and say create a variable. So I will create a variable called Poppins font for our Poppins font family. So I say create. So in this case, I can come and say create a variable for this font size. You can decide what kind of naming convention that you want to use. That is not so important. What is important here is to understand how to create the variables. And now here we have to select the value for the font size. Now the problem is when you use pixels as a font size, it means that you'll have this static figure. And that means that you also have to enter a specific font size for the tablet and for the mobile. But there is actually a better way to do that. There is something called formulas, and with a formula we can add a clamp function that automatically resizes or adapts our font size depending on which device the website visitor is using. Now the thing is, we have to calculate this so that we enter that formula once and it automatically adapts to different devices. Well, there are already tools that can help you to do that. So there is this tool here called clamp generator, and here we can say we want to generate a clamp formula for the font size or the type scale. And by default, the root font size, which is like the best for most of the browsers, is 16 pixels. Now what you would need is not only the root font size clamp, but also for the different heading sizes that you're going to be creating. And we can also create those as different variables. So for example, for the H1, H2, H3 going down. And as you can see over here in the responsive CSS output, we have a clamp formula for each of that, for the H1, for the H2, and for the H3. So for my H1, I can decide and say I want to have 50 pixels as the biggest size on the desktop. And for the mobile, I want to have it like 29 pixels. So that automatically will generate for me a formula right below here. So I'll copy that formula right over here and then come here to my Elementor page, and I'm going to add a formula, and right over there, I'm going to paste my formula. And just like that, I click away and say create. Now I've created my first two variables for the typography. The first one is for the font family, which is now called Poppins font. And the second one is our slide font size variable. And that is exactly what you see right over here. The typography variable for the font family, typography variable for the font size. Now let's talk about classes. So basically a class is a reusable preset. That means that you can apply this same class on different elements on your website. And that class will carry those presets, for example, gaps, margin, font sizes, and apply them on any other element which you apply that class. So we can apply classes to widgets, containers, and even states, for example, a hover state. And also we can apply several classes on a single element or section. So in this case, this class here has settings from the layout, spacing, and the background. So let's come back here to our page. You see we have created a variable for our font family and a font size. But we want to create now a class so that wherever we are going to be using our slide font size on even other pages, we just apply the class. So what we can do right now is to say convert to global class, and I can just name this as slide font size. As you can see, this color here is also now reflected where we have our variables or settings applied. So if I create a new section and I give that section a background color and come over here to my elements and I pick an atomic element right over there, and I come here to the class and I just apply my slide font size. Now you see that our heading element automatically adopted the font sizing and the font family that we already set in the class. So I have our heading open in a new tab, and when I try to change the size of the browser to reflect the size of a device, you see that our font size automatically adjusts the size. And at this point here, our font size is having the minimum font size that we set, and on the desktop size, it has the maximum font size of 50 pixels equivalent that we set earlier in our clamp formula. But now the question is, if you want to create variable font sizes for the slider font size, H1, H2, H3, H6 body font size, and that means that you have to copy the clamp formula for each font size. For example, this is the H2, and then come back here, come to your typography, and then come to the font size, create a new variable, give the variable a name, select the formula, and then enter in the clamp formula that you generated. In the age of AI, you can also create your own adaptive design system. So for example, I generated this adaptive design system using Gemini, and all I did was to add this simple prompt right over here using the canvas feature from Gemini, and I was able to generate this design system. Where do you find your variables? You find the variables here in the CSS variable export, and as you can see, I've already created a color system, and these are different variables and also the variables for the fonts. So as you can see, from H1 up to the body size. And by the way, the gap variables are the ones that determine the gap between cards and elements on the page. Radius variables, so these are radius variables for the border radius, this right over here, this right over here. All that was created automatically using Gemini. I think you can also do the same using Elementor's Angie. So for example, if I want to use the margin large variable, I just come over here and copy the formula. So you don't have to copy the semicolon at the end of the formula, but if you copy it still, Elementor will understand what the clamp formula is. Copy that, come to the spacing and margin, and you see over here in the margins, we can also add variables. Alternatively, since now we have a design system, you can just come over here to the design system and say add a variable and add a size variable. And right over here, I'll say margin, and here I'll have to just double click, select the formula, and then add your clamp formula right over there and hit enter. Now I have a margin large variable that I've added to my website. Now, the other thing that I have to mention, by the way, in this video is that we can also import and export variables. And that is an update that I was waiting for, because right now, since the 20th of May, we can now import and export our design system. That means that as I have created this design system, what you see over here, I can simply just come over here and say export. Then I can go to my other website, say import, and then I can import my zip that has my design system. It will have your variables and all your classes. Thank you, Elementor. Well, because it takes some time to create your design system. And once you have it created, you don't want to keep creating it again. All you have to do is to change the values. For example, if I want to change the values for my brand color right over here, I can just double click over here and enter in the hex code for the color. You can also rearrange your variables within your design system. For example, I have my font size H6 down below here. I can move it right up here in the section where I have all my font sizes. There I can drop it and then save changes. All right, now we have looked at how the design system works. We have looked at how we can create our variables and also how we can create classes and also how we can manage our classes using the design system. And via the design system, you can manage your variables and classes via a single interface without having to switch between dashboards. So the question is, what is a component and when do you use a component? Well, if you want to use a group of widgets or elements together, then you create a component. And the thing is, the created component can be used on other pages, and once you make a change on one component, that change will also be reflected wherever that component is used on different pages on that website. But also note that if you are creating components, you can only use V4 widgets. So back here on our demo website, as you can see down below here, we have that component created. And the beauty about components is that we can allow someone to, for example, change the title, change the pricing without changing the layout. In our Flexbox right here, it has a heading widget, it has a body text widget, so in this case it's called paragraph widget, and it also has our card. This card has many elements. Now the thing is, in version 3 of Elementor, if we wanted to use this card, it meant that we have to copy this card and paste it on different pages. And that meant that changes we made on this card, we also had to go and do those changes manually on all the other pages. So I'm going to select my card, and that card, as you can see, it has different elements or widgets, because Elementor also sometimes calls them elements and sometimes it calls them widgets, as you can see. But that's not the point. The point is we have to select the card that we want to create a component. And when I say right click, create a component, I'll name this as pricing 2026. And I say create the component. And just like that, component successfully created. That takes me in a window like this. You see, everything else is isolated, so we only have our component. And here we can select and say this part of the component can be edited by another user on the website. For example, your website owner would want to change the pricing per year. So we can say select the pricing widget. And what I'm going to say is override property. And I'm going to say pricing. And also we have a button here. We would want that someone is able to change the button text and also the button link. So for the button, I'm going to create a group because these two are actually related, the button text and the button link. Come over here and say create a new group and say button, group created. And I'm going to come over here to the button itself, and then I'm going to say button text, override property, and say button text, and that is applying to the group of button. Apply, come to the link, say button link, applying to the group of button and say good, create that. And as we come back here to the component properties, you see we have a group for the button and for the defaults. And I can also rearrange that and just move it down like this. Now I'll exit the component. So I'll come here on a new page and create a Flexbox. And as you can see, when I come here to components under widgets, components, I'll add my pricing component. And I'm going to duplicate it 3 times. On this component, I'm able to change the plan description, the features, and the pricing, including the button, without actually tampering with the website layout. This is something that makes building websites fun again. I've added some dummy text. The plan features I will not edit. I'll edit the pricing, and then I can say new package. And there I can add a button URL. I'll save a draft and then come here to preview our page. And as you can see, we have adjusted the component features and the pricing and the button link and text. Or maybe some of you are already saying, Hamza, where is the gap between the cards? Well, we have a class for that. When I come back here to my page, select my section. I'll come over here and add a section main dark class. And as you can see here on the display, it applies a class of flex on the layout. And when you come here to the gap, you see we have a variable that is applying container gap with a clamp formula, and that is adapting from the class right over here. Update or save a draft, and then we come here to the preview. You see that now our cards or components have a container gap. So now we have looked at our variables, we have looked at our classes, we have looked at creating components, editing components, adding properties to components, and we have also looked at the design system. We have also looked at importing and exporting widgets. Now let's talk about the atomic elements. If you haven't noticed already, we have been using the atomic elements. So these are the elements over here. We have a div block, we have a flex box, we have an atomic image widget. That is the one that I used right over here. With the atomic image, I have completely different options compared to the V3 image widget. I can also add variables, and as you can see, border radius, I added a variable for the border radius, and that is right over here called radius card main. It's also a clamp formula. The question is now, when do you use atomic elements? And well, the atomic elements are the ones that have this icon. And also for the classes, you realize we have these like swatches or palettes. So I remember this is like a color palette icon. And here we have these circles. I don't know how these are called. But anyway, when do we use atomic elements? So first of all, you have to activate V4 editor on your website, and you can also use it in combination with the V3 website. So when you have the V4 or atomic editor enabled on your website, you can use V4 widgets on your V3 website. And the thing about the V4 editor is that it is lighter and has a cleaner code output. So how do you activate V4 on your website? Come to Elementor, come to Editor, and there is an option called Settings. Click right over there, and you'll see the option called Atomic Editor. And here there will be a button to say Activate Atomic Editor or V4 Editor on your website. That will automatically activate and avail you the atomic elements and the atomic form. So if you want to see a video about the atomic form, let me know down in the comments of this video. As we come to the close of this video, what are the takeaways? So I have to say this to myself first, and then I also say it to you. Try to avoid creating spaghetti classes. I mean, classes that don't make any sense when you look at it 3 or 4 weeks from now. So the thing I would recommend is that, for example, you first of all create everything on one single page. So then you have ideas where you have variables, how your buttons are going to look like on different backgrounds and different sections. And then you know what kind of gap and spacing that you'll be needing. Then you can decide, hey, this container that has this kind of styling, has this kind of spacing, and this kind of background should have a class. And then you go ahead and create that class. Takeaway 2 is that if you are getting started with creating this class variable thing and they're not making so much sense, just start with only learning how to create variables and adaptive or fluid sizing for your gaps, font sizing, margin, and everything. And then later you'll start creating your classes when you feel a bit more comfortable and a bit more used to the system. And lastly, I just think that I have to mention this, that components and spacing come in the pro version of Elementor. So if you have the free version of Elementor, don't expect to be able to create components and spacing variables. And also I have to mention that the canvas is a bit messy. I think if you have already seen right over here in my editor, what you see here is not exactly what is being shown right over here on the front end. Elementor team, I think you could look into that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like me to make a specific video to expound on something that I mentioned in this video, also let me know down in the comments of this video. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. My name is Hamza, and see you in the next video.